Imagine a skinny little boy being thrown down a flight of stairs by a group of kids at school. He wakes up in the hospital. His father, rather than comforting him, verbally tears him apart at home. His mother works multiple jobs just to keep the family alive. This boy has no friends, no one to talk to. So he disappears into books and computers. That boy grew up to become the richest human being who has ever lived on this planet. His name is Elon Musk. But this video is not about rockets or electric cars. This is about the other side of Elon Musk, the pain behind the ambition, the secrets behind the success, and the questions that nobody seems to be asking. Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. His father, Elon Musk, was an engineer. His mother, Mae Musk, was a model and nutritionist. On the surface, a respectable family. But behind closed doors, the story was very different. When Elon was 8 years old, his parents divorced. Most children in that situation would choose to live with their mother. Elon chose his father, not because his father was kind to him, but because Elon felt guilty leaving him alone. That decision would shape the rest of his life. Elon Musk was, by many accounts, a brilliant man, but he was also verbally abusive and deeply unstable. Walter Isaacson, who wrote the authorized biography of Elon Musk after spending years with him, described Errol as a Jekyll and Hyde figure, a man capable of great intelligence, but also capable of what Isaacson called demon-like behavior. At school, things were no better. Elon was small, awkward, and could not read social cues the way other children could. He struggled to understand when people were joking, when they were being sarcastic, or when they actually meant what they said. He was badly bullied. There is a well-documented incident where a group of boys threw him down a concrete staircase and beat him until he was unconscious. He spent time in the hospital recovering. Years later, Elon Musk would reveal that he believes he has Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism that affects social communication. His mother confirmed that he was never formally diagnosed as a child, but she said, and I quote her words here, that she was sure he was right about it. So how did he survive all of this? He went somewhere no one could bully him. He went into his own mind. By the age of 10, he had his first computer. He taught himself to code entirely from books. By 12, he had built and sold his first video game for $500. The world around him was cruel, but inside a machine, he was in complete control. In 1995, Elon Musk left South Africa and moved to Canada and then to the United States. He was accepted into a PhD program in physics at Stanford University, one of the most prestigious programs in the world. He lasted 2 days. He looked at the internet and decided it was the most important thing happening on Earth. He was not going to spend years in a laboratory when history was being made in garages and dorm rooms. So he walked away from Stanford and never looked back. That same year, he and his brother Kimball founded Zip2, a company that built online business directories with maps. Think of it as an early version of Google Maps combined with Yelp. In 1999, a company called Compaq acquired Zip2 for $307 million. Elon walked away with $22 million. He immediately put most of that money into his next idea, an online payments company called X.com. That company eventually merged with a competitor and became PayPal. When eBay acquired PayPal in 2002, Elon's stake was worth $180 million. Most people, at that point, would buy a house, take a long vacation and live comfortably for the rest of their lives. Elon Musk put almost everything he had into two companies that most experts told him were guaranteed to fail. The first was SpaceX, founded in 2002. The goal was to make humanity a multi-planetary species by building affordable, reusable rockets. When Musk went to Russia to buy old rockets and was quoted an absurd price, he did not negotiate. He went home, opened a spreadsheet, and calculated whether he could build the rockets himself for less money. He could, and he did. But the road was brutal. The first 3 Falcon 1 rockets exploded. SpaceX was running out of money. Musk has said publicly that he was emotionally destroyed during that period. He was sleeping on friends' couches and could barely afford to keep the lights on. Then, in September 2008, the 4th rocket launched successfully. NASA took notice and signed a contract worth $1.6 billion. SpaceX was saved. The second bet was Tesla. Musk did not found Tesla. 2 engineers named Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning started it in 2003. But Musk led the first major funding round in 2004 and eventually took over as CEO. He poured his own money into it during the financial crisis of 2008, when the company was days away from bankruptcy. He signed the final paperwork for a funding round on Christmas Eve, sitting at his computer while his marriage was falling apart. Today, SpaceX is valued at well over $200 billion. Tesla has transformed the entire automotive industry, and in 2022, Musk acquired Twitter for $44 billion, renamed it X, and became the owner of the world's most politically influential social media platform. As of 2026, his net worth is estimated at over $800 billion. He is the wealthiest person in recorded human history. So, what actually makes Elon Musk different? Why does he succeed where others fail? The first thing is something he calls first principles thinking. Most people solve problems by looking at how others have solved similar problems before and copying the approach. Musk refuses to do that. He starts from the most fundamental physical and mathematical truths and rebuilds the solution from scratch. When people told him rockets cost too much, he did not accept that as a fact. He asked what the raw materials cost. He found that the materials were only about 2% of the price being charged by manufacturers. The rest was tradition, bureaucracy, and profit margins, so he eliminated them. The second thing is his relationship with time. Musk does not think in quarters or fiscal years. He thinks in decades and centuries. His stated mission with SpaceX is not to make money from satellites. It is to ensure that human consciousness survives long enough to become a multi-planetary civilization. He genuinely believes Earth faces existential threats, and that if humanity stays on one planet, a single catastrophic event could end the entire story of our species. That long-term terror drives decisions that would seem irrational to anyone with a shorter time horizon. The third thing is his tolerance for suffering, both his own and other people's. He famously slept on the factory floor at Tesla during production crises. He works between 80 and 120 hours per week. He expects the same from the people around him, which has made him one of the most polarizing employers on the planet. People who work for him either describe it as the most meaningful experience of their professional lives or the most traumatic. The fourth thing is his mastery of narrative and public perception. Before Musk, CEOs were people you read about in business magazines. He turned himself into a character. He posts memes. He trolls competitors. He moves financial markets with a single tweet. He owns the platform his messages travel through. In terms of direct access to public attention, no business leader in history has ever had what he has. Now here is where it gets genuinely fascinating. Because for all his power, Elon Musk is also one of the most visibly broken people in public life. Start with the Aspergers. In 2021, when he hosted Saturday Night Live, he opened his monologue by announcing that he was the first person with Asperger syndrome to host the show. The audience laughed, but people who watched closely noticed something. He was uncomfortable in a way that was hard to watch. He shifted constantly. His movements were stiff. He was clearly trying very hard to perform normalcy, and it was not entirely working. What Asperger's means in practice for Musk is this. He can build the most complex engineering systems in the world, but he genuinely struggles to understand what the person sitting across from him is feeling. He said it himself. He learned that people do not always mean what they say only by reading it in books. He did not pick it up naturally the way most people do. This has had devastating consequences in his personal life. He has been married 3 times, twice to the same woman. His first wife, Justine Wilson, has spoken publicly about feeling invisible in the marriage. She described attending parties where Elon would tell her in front of other people that if she had been his employee, he would have fired her. His second wife, Tallulah Riley, whom he married and divorced twice, has spoken about the emotional extremes of being close to him. His former partner, the musician Grimes, told Walter Isaacson something that is hard to forget. She said that Elon is attracted to what she called chaotic evil. She said he associates love with being mean or abusive. She also said that when he enters what she called demon mode, he goes dark, retreats inside the storm in his brain, and becomes unreachable. He has more than 12 children with multiple women. In 2025, a children's book author filed a legal petition claiming that Musk was the father of her child. And then there is the depression. Musk has openly acknowledged that he has struggled with depression for much of his adult life. He uses ketamine under medical supervision to manage it. He has said that some of his most erratic public behavior, including certain Twitter posts that have cost him billions of dollars and triggered regulatory investigations, happened during periods when his mood was extremely low. What makes this even more interesting is that he has also said more than once that his gravestone will read, "Never went to therapy." He is openly skeptical of psychiatry and psychology. He considers it, in his words, more politically motivated than helpful. So here is the picture. One of the most psychologically complex people alive, carrying documented childhood trauma, managing depression with a dissociative drug, refusing professional mental health support, and making decisions that affect the lives of hundreds of millions of people. There is also the matter of his father, Elon Musk. Toward the end of his life, had 2 children with a woman he had raised as his stepdaughter since she was 4 years old. When Elon found out, according to Isaacson, it shook him profoundly. He rarely speaks about his father publicly, but when he does, the pain is obvious. Now we come to the part most people do not know. In 2022, during the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Ukrainian military was using Starlink, Musk's satellite internet service, to guide drone attacks on Russian naval vessels in Crimea. The drones were approaching the fleet. They were minutes away from their targets. And then Starlink went dark in that zone. Musk had personally ordered his engineers to disable coverage in that area. Without internet connectivity, the drones lost their guidance signal and sank harmlessly into the sea. The attack failed. One private citizen with no military rank and no government mandate had just influenced the outcome of a battle in a major European war. Musk defended his decision by saying he feared the attack could have provoked a nuclear response from Russia. His critics said that he had no right to make that call unilaterally. His supporters said he may have prevented a catastrophic escalation. The truth is probably somewhere between those two positions. But the fact remains, a man who was elected by no one and accountable to no government made a decision that changed the course of a war. Then there is Neuralink. In 2024, Neuralink successfully implanted a brain chip in a living human being for the first time. The stated goal is to help people with paralysis control computers and devices with their thoughts. The long-term vision, as Musk has described it, includes the possibility of merging human consciousness with artificial intelligence. He calls this a way to keep up with AI rather than being left behind by it. Critics ask a question that no one has fully answered. Who owns the data from those implants? What happens to the recordings of someone's neural activity? What are the legal frameworks? As of today, those questions remain largely unresolved. And then there is politics. For years, Musk positioned himself as politically neutral. He donated to candidates from both parties. He called himself a moderate. Then, in the 2024 U.S. presidential election, he became the single largest individual donor to Donald Trump's campaign and spent over $250 million supporting Republican candidates across the country. After Trump won, Musk was appointed to lead something called the Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE. He spent several months in a position of enormous informal power inside the federal government, influencing decisions about which agencies received funding and which were dismantled. In May 2025, he left the Trump administration. Reports of a personal falling out between the two men began to surface. The details of that split remain murky, but step back and look at the full picture for a moment. This is a man who controls the satellite internet that governments and militaries depend on, who owns the most important social media platform in the world, who is building rockets that can carry humans to other planets, who is developing technology to merge the human brain with computers, who has more children than most people have cousins, and who spent several months at the center of the most powerful government on Earth. He is not accountable to voters. He is not accountable to shareholders in any meaningful way. He is not accountable to any single country or legal system. So the question that keeps coming back is this: who exactly is watching Elon Musk? Elon Musk is not a hero. He is not a villain. He is something more complicated and more human than either of those labels. He is the product of a childhood that could have destroyed him. A boy who was beaten and humiliated and unloved by the person who was supposed to protect him, and who turned that pain into an engine that has genuinely changed the world. His genius is real. His damage is real. His achievements are real. His blind spots are real. The same man who may put humans on Mars has also demonstrated that he can be impulsive, erratic, emotionally unavailable, and willing to use his power in ways that no democratic institution can check. That combination, extraordinary capability and extraordinary unaccountability, is something our world has never had to deal with before, not at this scale. Whether you admire him, fear him, or both, understanding him matters. Because whether we like it or not, Elon Musk is already shaping the world your children will inherit. If this story made you think, consider sharing it and leave a comment below. Do you believe Elon Musk is one of the greatest forces for progress in human history, or the most dangerous, unelected man alive? The answer, honestly, might be yes to both.